Welcome to US Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: the personal collection of the King's favorite interior designer is up for sale. Robert Kennedy Jr. to run as an independent in 2024 election. Fantasy Ryder Cup Golf in 2023, the cheat sheet you need. How to watch the 2023 Ryder Cup live on TV in the UK and US. Safia Sinclair on leaving her Rastafari childhood behind. The personal collection of the King's favorite interior designer is up for sale. Telegraph. An auction of the personal collection of Robert Kime, the late antiques collector and decorator, is taking place in Newbury next week. The collection features Ottoman rugs, 18th-century vases, gilt mirrors, Delft lamps, ancient Egyptian figurines, and several paintings that feature dogs. Kime was a renowned interior designer and his work included projects for the King and Queen, various dukes, earls, Andrew Lloyd Webber and other notable figures. His style was characterized by blending furniture, paintings and pottery, and using bold and imaginative colors to create a unique aesthetic. The auction includes 2 volumes with nearly 1,000 items from Kime's London home and house in Provence. The collection includes faded rugs, scuffed armchairs, and lamps on every flat surface, and is described as breathtaking yet not pretentious. Among the items for sale are a box ottoman, a Revilius watercolor, and a 19th-century Kashmiri bellows, with estimates ranging from £100 to £150,000. Robert Kennedy Jr. to run as an independent in 2024 election. Telegraph. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is set to announce that he will run as an independent candidate in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Kennedy, an anti-vaccine activist and member of the Kennedy political dynasty, had previously expressed his intention to challenge President Joe Biden for the Democratic Party nomination. However, he has since accused the party of merging with the Biden campaign and denying him a fair shot at the nomination. The move could complicate the election, as it may draw votes away from both Biden and the likely Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump. Fantasy Ryder Cup Golf in 2023, the cheat sheet you need. Telegraph. The Ryder Cup has launched its own fantasy golf game, allowing fans to pick a team of 6 golfers from the 24 players competing at the tournament. Unlike other fantasy games, there are no restrictions on who can be picked, meaning players can choose any golfer they wish. Points are awarded based on hole-by-hole and shot-by-shot scoring, as well as bonus points for winning holes consecutively and not losing any holes in a match. The aim is to accumulate as many points as possible. Tips for success include selecting a captain carefully, leaving selections until late to gauge matchups, partnering up for double points in the foursomes and 4 balls, spreading out players between Team Europe and Team USA, backing a rookie, and prioritizing accuracy over distance when it comes to fairways and greens. The Ryder Cup fantasy game provides a chance for both golf enthusiasts and casual viewers to engage with the tournament and compete against friends and colleagues for bragging rights. How to watch the 2023 Ryder Cup live on TV in the UK and US. Telegraph. The 44th Ryder Cup will take place in Rome, Italy from September 29 to October 1, 2023. The tournament will be hosted by the Marco Simone Golf and Country Club. Sky Sports will broadcast the event in the UK, while NBC and the Golf Channel will cover it in the United States. Luke Donald will lead Team Europe, while Zach Johnson will lead Team USA. Team Europe will be looking to reclaim the title after their defeat in 2021, while Team USA hopes to win on European soil for the first time since 1993. Safia Sinclair on leaving her Rastafari childhood behind. The Guardian. Author Safia Sinclair reflects on her childhood growing up in a small fishing village in Jamaica called White House. She describes the simple, close-knit community, where her family lived in close quarters and shared a communal shower and pit latrine. Sinclair shares her fond memories of playing by the sea, digging for hermit crabs and relishing the joy of living in such a beautiful place. However, her father, a strict Rastafarian, became increasingly suspicious of the influence of Babylon and the outside world. He saw his family as being under constant threat and warned them to fortify their minds and bodies against the evil forces of Western society. Sinclair's father believed that his reggae music had the power to save Black people's minds and bring about change in the world, but he also became increasingly strict and controlling, particularly towards the women in the family. Eventually, the family had to leave White House due to his growing paranoia. Sinclair reflects on the conflicting emotions of her childhood and the ways in which her father's beliefs shaped her understanding of the world. Proposed conservation area would bring you closer to nature and to the dead. CBC. A group of volunteers are hoping to turn 11 hectares of land behind St. Paul's Anglican Church in French Village, Nova Scotia, into a conservation site doubling as a green burial ground. The site is part of a new movement in Canada to rethink Western Christian burials from an environmental perspective. Instead of traditional embalming and caskets, green burials focus on reducing environmental impact by wrapping bodies in linen or placing them in locally made pine boxes. The group behind the project also hopes to change perceptions of cemeteries, making them destinations for family days out rather than places to be avoided. Antony Blinken congratulates China on National Day, pledges cooperation. South China Morning Post. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has congratulated China on its 74th National Day, pledging more cooperation with Beijing on shared challenges such as climate change, public health, and food security. The statement comes as high-level exchanges between the U.S. and China have increased in recent months. Blinken and other top U.S. officials visited Beijing over the summer, and Chinese Vice President Han Zheng met with Blinken in September. However, Chinese President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Joe Biden have not met since November 2020. More diplomatic efforts are needed before Xi commits to attending the APEC summit in November. Whale collides with boat, killing man in absolute freak accident. The Independent. A man has been killed and another injured after their boat was hit and flipped by a whale off the coast of Sydney, Australia. The incident, described as an absolute freak accident by Emergency Services Minister Jihad Dib, occurred during a fishing trip. The 61-year-old man died from his injuries, while the other man is in a stable condition. Police said the boat was likely to have struck or been impacted by a whale breaching. There have been previous instances of whales colliding with boats in the region, although deaths caused by such incidents are rare. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the Six Dimensions. Today, I bring you a collection of news stories that range from the personal to the political, and even a bit of sports and culture. Let's dive in. First up, we have the auction of the personal collection of Robert Keim, the late interior designer who had worked for the king and queen. From Ottoman rugs to ancient Egyptian figurines, this collection is truly a treasure trove of unique items. And the best part? It's described as breathtaking yet not pretentious, just like me. In other news, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has announced his intention to run as an independent candidate in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. As an anti-vaccine activist, Kennedy is sure to shake things up in the political arena. With his candidacy, he may draw votes away from both President Biden and former President Trump, making this election even more interesting. Now, let's talk about something a bit more lighthearted: fantasy golf. The Ryder Cup has launched its own fantasy game, allowing fans to pick their dream teams from the 24 players competing in the tournament. It's a chance for golf enthusiasts and casual viewers to engage with the tournament and compete against friends and colleagues for bragging rights. So, pick your captain carefully and get ready to show off your golf knowledge. Speaking of the Ryder Cup, the 44th edition of the tournament will take place in Rome, Italy in 2023. Team Europe, led by Luke Donald, will be looking to reclaim the title, while Team USA, led by Zach Johnson, hopes to win on European soil for the first time in decades. So mark your calendars and get ready for some fierce competition on the golf course. Moving on to culture, we have an intriguing article about author Sophia Sinclair reflecting on her childhood in Jamaica and her journey of leaving her Rastafari upbringing behind. She shares her conflicting emotions and how her father's strict beliefs shaped her understanding of the world. It's a fascinating exploration of identity and the ways in which our childhood experiences shape us. Now, let's pivot to a unique conservation project in Nova Scotia, Canada. A group of volunteers is hoping to turn a piece of land into a green burial ground, focusing on reducing environmental impact and changing perceptions of cemeteries. It's a fresh take on how we think about death and our connection to the natural world. Who knew cemeteries could become family destinations? In international news, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has congratulated China on its National Day and pledged more cooperation with Beijing on shared challenges. This comes as high-level exchanges between the U.S. and China have increased in recent months. While diplomatic efforts are needed, it's a positive step towards finding common ground on important issues such as climate change and public health. Lastly, a tragic incident off the coast of Sydney, Australia, where a man was killed and another injured after their boat was hit by a whale. It's described as an absolute freak accident and serves as a reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature. Our thoughts go out to the victims and their families. And there you have it, a diverse mix of news stories to keep you entertained and informed. Now, I turn to you, my dear viewers. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions or opinions? Let's hear them. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.